Advanced Innovation Group, Clauses ISO 27001. Through this video, we shall attempt to explain the auditable component of the ISO 27001, 2022, Clause 9.3. Clause 9.3.1. 1. Preparation. Understand the requirements. The organization must ensure that top management conducts reviews of the ISMS at planned intervals to confirm its ongoing suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness. The review process should also consider any changes or challenges faced by the organization that might affect the ISMS. Review documentation. Obtain and review the documented procedures for management reviews, including records of previous reviews, agendas, and action items. Ensure that the reviews are conducted periodically as planned. Clause 9.3.1. 2. Audit objectives. Verify that top management has a documented process for conducting ISMS reviews at planned intervals. Confirm that the management review considers the continued suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness of the ISMS. Validate that relevant inputs are considered in the review and that appropriate actions are taken to address any gaps or improvements identified. Clause 9.3.1. 3. Audit checklist. 3.1 Management review process. Frequency of reviews. Does the organization have a defined schedule for management reviews of the ISMS? Are these reviews conducted at planned intervals, as defined by the organization? Are the intervals based on factors such as risk assessments, changes in the organization, or audit results? Review agenda and inputs. Does the management review process consider a wide range of inputs, such as ISMS performance data, e.g., monitoring and measurement results, audit results, internal and external, risk assessment and treatment outcomes, incidents, nonconformities, and corrective actions, feedback from interested parties, e.g., customers, regulators, changes to organizational processes, systems, or external factors that could impact information security? Is there a clear agenda for each review that ensures all necessary aspects of the ISMS are addressed? Clause 9.3.1. 3. Audit checklist. 3.1 Management review process. Documentation of the review. Are records of the management reviews maintained, including the discussion points, conclusions, and any action items or decisions made? Are these records available for reference and verification during audits? 3.2 Suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness. Suitability of the ISMS. Does top management assess whether the ISMS remains suitable in terms of its alignment with the organization's objectives, legal requirements, and information security needs? Are there instances where the ISMS was found to be unsuitable and were corrective actions taken? Clause 9.3.1. 3. Audit checklist. 3.2. Suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness. Adequacy of the SMS. Does the management review address whether the ISMS is adequate in meeting the current threats and risks facing the organization? Are the controls and resources allocated to the ISMS adequate for its goals? Effectiveness of the ISMS. Does top management evaluate the effectiveness of the ISMS in achieving its intended outcomes, such as protecting confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information? Are there measurable indicators, or KPIs, used to assess effectiveness? Clause 9.3.1. 3. Audit checklist. 3.3 Actions based on review outcomes. Follow-up actions. After the review, are any actions identified to improve the ISMS or address deficiencies? Are these actions documented and assigned to responsible parties? Is there a process in place to ensure that actions arising from the review are followed up on and completed? Changes to the ISMS. If changes are required based on the review, are they planned and implemented systematically? Is there a process to evaluate the impact of changes on the ISMS? Clause 9.3.1. 3. Audit checklist. 3.4 Communication and reporting. Communication of review outcomes. Are the outcomes of the management review communicated to relevant stakeholders within the organization? Is there a process for ensuring that key decisions and action items are effectively communicated? Continual improvement. Does the management review process promote continual improvement of the ISMS? Are there records showing how feedback from the review process is incorporated into ISMS planning and operation? Clause 9.3.1. 4. Evidence gathering, interviews. Interview top management or individuals involved in management reviews to confirm how often reviews are conducted, what inputs are considered, and how decisions are made. Interview staff responsible for implementing the actions resulting from management reviews to ensure they are completed. Document review. Review the documented management review process to ensure it is consistent with ISO/IEC 27001 requirements. Check records of management reviews, including minutes, action items, and follow-up reports, to verify that reviews are conducted as planned and that necessary actions are taken. Observations. Observe a management review meeting, if possible, to assess how well the process is followed and if it meets the requirements of the standard. Clause 9.3.1. 5. Audit questions. Review process. Can you provide evidence of the planned intervals for management reviews and records of previous reviews? What inputs are considered during the management review? Are performance data, risk assessments, and audit results consistently reviewed? Suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness. How does top management assess whether the ISMS remains suitable, adequate, and effective? Are there any documented instances where the ISMS was found lacking in suitability or effectiveness, and how were these addressed? Actions and improvements. How are actions arising from management reviews tracked and followed up on? Can you provide evidence of improvements made based on previous reviews? Documentation and reporting. Are management review outcomes documented? Can you provide records showing the action items, decisions, and follow-up activities from previous reviews? Clause 9.3.1. 6. Nonconformance criteria. Examples of potential nonconformances include failure to conduct management reviews at planned intervals, insufficient or incomplete inputs considered during the review process, lack of documentation or incomplete records of management reviews, failure to act on the outcomes of management reviews or follow up on identified actions, no clear process for evaluating the suitability, adequacy, or effectiveness of the ISMS. Clause 9.3.1. 7. Audit reporting. Findings. Report on any deficiencies in the management review process, such as missing records, inadequate review of the ISMS's suitability, or failure to follow up on actions. Recommendations. Suggest improvements to the management review process, such as ensuring a more comprehensive evaluation of the ISM or improving communication of review outcomes. Compliance status. Assess whether the organization meets the requirements of Clause 9.3.1 and whether top management effectively reviews the ISMS at planned intervals to ensure its suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness. Clause 9.3.1. 8. Examples of best practices. Structured management review process. Establishing a formal and structured process for management reviews, including a detailed agenda that covers all key areas of the ISMS and ensures all relevant inputs are considered. Actionable follow-up. Ensuring that actions identified during management reviews are tracked, assigned, and followed up on, with clear documentation showing the results of those actions. Continuous improvement focus, using management reviews as a tool for continual improvement, with a strong emphasis on evaluating the effectiveness of existing controls and identifying opportunities for enhancement. By auditing Clause 9.3.1, Management Review, you can ensure that the organization's top management conducts thorough, well-documented reviews of the ISMS, identifies areas for improvement, and takes appropriate actions to maintain the system's ongoing suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness in meeting ISO/IEC 27001 requirements. Clause 9.3.2. 1. Preparation. Understand the requirements. Management reviews should include key inputs as outlined in this clause. These inputs allow top management to evaluate the performance of the ISMS and ensure its continuous improvement. Review documentation. Gather the documented evidence related to previous management reviews, including meeting minutes, agendas, reports, and any action items from the reviews. These documents should show whether the necessary inputs were considered during the management review process. Clause 9.3.2. 2. Audit objectives. Confirm that the management review process incorporates all the required inputs to evaluate the status, performance, and effectiveness of the ISMS. Ensure that the management review considers changes in internal and external issues, feedback from interested parties, and results from audits, risk assessments, and performance monitoring. Clause 9.3.2. 3. Audit checklist. 3.1. Review of previous management review actions. Status of previous actions. Were actions from the previous management reviews considered and their status assessed? Are there documented records showing whether previous actions were completed or are still pending? Has the completion or non-completion of previous actions led to any corrective actions or changes in the ISMS? Clause 9.3.2. 3. Audit checklist. 3.2. Changes in external and internal issues. External issues. Has the organization identified and reviewed any changes in the external environment that could impact the ISMS, e.g., new legal requirements, emerging threats, or technological developments? Are these changes considered in the context of the ISMS's effectiveness and need for adjustments? Internal issues. Has the organization reviewed internal factors, such as organizational changes, new business activities, or any shifts in organizational priorities that could affect information security? Clause 9.3.2. 3. Audit checklist. 3.3. Changes in needs and expectations of interested parties. Stakeholder expectations. Has the organization assessed whether the needs and expectations of interested parties, e.g., customers, regulators, business partners, have changed? Are any new or evolving expectations addressed to ensure the ISMS remains responsive to the needs of these parties? 3.4. Performance feedback. Nonconformities and corrective actions. Was feedback on nonconformities and corrective actions from the ISMS considered in the review? Are there trends or recurring nonconformities that need to be addressed? Clause 9.3.2. 3. Audit checklist. 3.4. Performance feedback. Were results from monitoring and measurement activities considered during the review? This includes both the effectiveness of existing controls and the overall performance of the ISMS. Audit results. Were the results of internal and external audits taken into account? Has any audit feedback been used to drive improvements? Fulfillment of information security objectives. Was there an evaluation of whether the information security objectives were met, and if not, what actions are required to achieve them? Clause 9.3.2. 3. Audit checklist. 3.5. Feedback from interested parties. Stakeholder. Feedback. Was feedback from relevant interested parties included as part of the review? This may include customer satisfaction, regulatory compliance, or feedback from suppliers or partners. How is stakeholder feedback integrated into the management review process? Clause 9.3.2. 3. Audit checklist. 3.6. Results of risk assessment and risk treatment status. Risk assessment results. Were the results of the most recent information security risk assessments considered? Were the identified risks and their potential impact on the ISMS reviewed? Risk treatment plan. Status. Was the status of the risk treatment plan reviewed? Are there any changes in risk levels, or has the treatment plan been updated based on new assessments? 3.7. Opportunities for continual improvement. Improvement opportunities. Were opportunities for continual improvement identified and reviewed during the management review? Did the management team discuss potential improvements to processes, controls, or procedures within the ISMS. Clause 9.3.2. 4. Evidence gathering, interviews. Interview relevant personnel, including those involved in the management review process, to confirm whether these inputs are consistently considered and discussed during the review. Interview the staff responsible for implementing actions based on the management review to ensure that these inputs lead to actionable improvements. Document review. Review meeting minutes, agendas, and reports to verify that all required inputs were considered. Specifically, look for evidence of the items outlined in 9.3.2, such as performance feedback, risk assessment results, and changes in internal and external issues. Observations. Observe a management review meeting if possible to assess how the inputs are discussed and evaluated, ensuring the process is thorough and effective. Clause 9.3.2. 5. Audit questions. Review of previous actions. Can you provide records showing the status of actions from the last management review? Were the results of past actions considered, and how were outstanding actions addressed? Changes in internal and external issues. What changes in internal and external issues were discussed during the management review? How were they factored into the decision-making process for the ISMS? Changes in stakeholder needs. Was there any consideration of changes in the needs and expectations of interested parties? How were these changes addressed? Performance feedback. How was feedback on nonconformities, corrective actions, and audit results used in the management review process? Was there any analysis of trends in monitoring and measurement results? Clause 9.3.2. 5. Audit questions. Risk assessment and treatment plan. How were the results of the latest risk assessment incorporated into the management review? Was the status of the risk treatment plan reviewed, and were any adjustments made? Opportunities for improvement. Were any opportunities for continual improvement identified? How were these opportunities prioritized? Clause 9.3.2. 6. Nonconformance criteria. Examples of potential nonconformances include missing or incomplete consideration of required inputs during the management review process, e.g., feedback from interested parties, results of risk assessments. Failure to address the status of actions from previous management reviews. Lack of documented evidence that inputs were considered, e.g., meeting minutes, risk assessment reports. No discussion of continual improvement opportunities during the management review. Failure to evaluate changes in internal or external issues affecting the ISMS. Clause 9.3.2. 7. Audit reporting. Findings. Report on any gaps in the consideration of the required inputs during the management review, such as missing performance data or failure to assess stakeholder feedback. Recommendations. Suggest improvements to the management review process, such as ensuring that all required inputs are considered comprehensively or improving the documentation of decisions made during the review. Compliance status. Assess whether the organization meets the requirements of Clause 9.3.2 and whether all necessary inputs are being adequately considered during the management review process. Clause 9.3.2. 8. Examples of best practices. Comprehensive input. Consideration. Ensuring that the management review process includes a comprehensive discussion of all relevant inputs, including audit results, performance data, risk assessments, and feedback from stakeholders. Actionable follow-up. Ensuring that any gaps identified during the management review are clearly documented and follow-up actions are tracked to completion. Effective documentation. Maintaining clear and thorough documentation of the management review process, including records of inputs considered and actions taken. By auditing Clause 9.3.2, management review inputs, you can verify that the organization is comprehensively evaluating all aspects of the ISMS to ensure its ongoing effectiveness and alignment with the organization's goals and external requirements. This ensures that management has the information necessary to make informed decisions about the ISMS and its continual improvement. Clause 9.3.3. 1. Preparation. Understand the requirements. This clause focuses on ensuring that management review results lead to actionable decisions regarding the continual improvement of the ISMS and whether any changes are required. Documented evidence of these results must be retained. Review documentation. Gather evidence from previous management review meetings, including meeting minutes, reports, and any action items or decisions made. Ensure that these documents show the decisions taken regarding continual improvement. Clause 9.3.3. 2. Audit objectives. Confirm that the management review results in decisions that are aligned with continual improvement opportunities and any required changes to the ISMS. Ensure that the organization retains documented information that captures the results of management reviews, including any decisions made about changes to the ISMS. 3. Audit checklist. 3.1 Continual improvement opportunities. Improvement decisions. Did the management review lead to the identification of opportunities for continual improvement? Were decisions made regarding how these opportunities should be addressed? Were these decisions aligned with the organization's strategic goals and objectives for information security? Clause 9.3.3. 3. Audit checklist. 3.1 Continual improvement opportunities. Actions for improvement. Were any specific actions decided upon to pursue these improvement opportunities? Were timelines, responsibilities, and resources assigned to these actions? 3.2 Changes to the ISMS. Need for changes. Did the management review identify the need for changes to the ISMS? If so, what specific changes were discussed? Were these changes related to any issues or gaps identified during the review, e.g., risk assessments, audit results, nonconformities? Scope of changes. Were decisions made regarding the scope and nature of the changes required? Did the management review decide whether these changes are strategic, procedural, or structural? Clause 9.3.3. 3. Audit checklist. 3.2 Changes to the ISMS. Implementation of changes. Were decisions made on how the necessary changes to the ISMS will be implemented? Were roles and responsibilities defined for implementing these changes? 3.3 Documented information of review results. Evidence of decisions. Is there documented information, e.g., meeting minutes, action logs, that clearly records the results of the management review, including decisions made on continual improvement and changes to the ISMS? Is there evidence that the decisions were communicated to relevant stakeholders and actions assigned? 3.4 Monitoring the effectiveness of decisions. Implementation of changes. Were decisions made on how the necessary changes to the ISMS will be implemented? Were roles and responsibilities defined for implementing these changes? Clause 9.3.3. 4. Evidence gathering. Interviews. Interview personnel involved in the management review process to verify that the results lead to actionable decisions. Speak with employees responsible for implementing the changes and improvements to verify that actions are aligned with the management review decisions. Document review. Review meeting minutes, action items, and reports that capture the results of management reviews. Verify that decisions related to continual improvement and changes to the ISMS are documented clearly and appropriately. Observations. Observe a management review meeting, if possible, to assess how decisions are made, recorded, and followed up. Clause 9.3.3. 5. Audit questions. Continual improvement. What opportunities for continual improvement were identified during the management review? What actions were decided upon to address these opportunities, and who is responsible for them? Changes to the ISMS. Did the management review identify the need for changes to the ISMS? What specific changes were agreed upon? What is the scope of these changes, and how will they be implemented? Documented results. Can you provide documented evidence of the results of the management review, including decisions on continual improvement and changes to the ISMS? Follow up on decisions. How is the effectiveness of decisions made during the management review tracked and monitored? Clause 9.3.3. 6. Nonconformance criteria. Examples of potential nonconformances include missing or incomplete decisions on continual improvement or changes to the ISMS, lack of documented evidence of the results of management reviews, including decisions on actions and changes, failure to assign responsibility, resources, or timelines for the actions decided during the management review. No mechanism in place to monitor and evaluate the effectiveness of decisions made during the management review. Clause 9.3.3, 7. Audit reporting. Findings. Report on any gaps in the management review process, such as missing decisions on continual improvement or the lack of documented evidence of the review results. Recommendations. Suggest improvements in documenting decisions made during the management review and ensuring that decisions are followed through with clear actions and timelines. Compliance status. Assess whether the organization meets the requirements of Clause 9.3.3 and whether the results of management reviews are adequately captured and acted upon. Clause 9.3.3. 8. Examples of best practices. Clear and actionable decisions. Management reviews should result in clear decisions that are actionable, with assigned responsibilities, timelines, and resources for implementation. Documented review results. Ensure that meeting minutes or review reports document the results of the review, including decisions made regarding improvements and changes to the ISMS. Ongoing monitoring. Establish a process to monitor the effectiveness of decisions made during the management review and ensure continuous improvement. By auditing Clause 9.3.3, management review results, you can ensure that the management review process leads to concrete decisions that drive continual improvement in necessary changes to the SMS, and that these decisions are documented and acted upon effectively. Thank you.